Hey everybody, it's me, Bradford, your carnivore curmudgeon, with a timely reminder that I am a real carnivore, but not necessarily a real curmudgeon, mostly. Today I'm going to show you how I make something that I really enjoy making, and that's Kielbasa sausage. Smoky, delicious, versatile, and it's a great thing to have in your freezer. Let's see how we do it. And here's a picture of the simple ingredients: some curing salt, of course, some regular kosher salt, non-fat dried milk, granulated garlic, white pepper, and marjoram. And that's all there is to it. And here's the recipe that I used for this 10-pound batch. And I got this from Two Guys and a Cooler on YouTube. Excellent sausage making channel that really informative and educational. The only thing on this list I did not include was the sugar, which you can do if you want. And the first thing I'm going to do is get these hog casings, caliber 2832 from the Sausage Maker, which cost me a little bit more than I've been spending in the past, but I got to say I'm much more pleased with how large they are, meaning how long they are, and really the quality of them as far as strength. And if you've ever made sausages and you blow out your sausages every third sausage, you know what I mean. But I thought these were definitely worth the money. It was a very large package that is supposed to enable you to stuff, I think, 75 pounds. So I thought it was a good deal, and they keep in the fridge for a long time. So once I got a couple of them, and I sort of measure them out by about foot length and figure about a pound per foot, and I just needed two of them for my estimation of this 10 pounds of sausage. And in the end, I only needed one. I had a little bit left over, but it wasn't worth using a whole new casing for just that little tiny, like half a pound that I had left over. Okay, next I'm just going to give them a good rinse in some nice lukewarm water. Get all that salt off of the outside of the casings. They come cased in salt so that they're preserved and last a long time. And then when it's time to rinse the inside, I always put my stopper in the sink, because once I start running water through the inside of the casing, they like to get away from you. Like you can see here, it's trying to climb out of the bowl, and they'll head straight down the drain if I don't put that stopper in there. So I always put the stopper in and then rinse the inside probably 2 or 3 times after I rinse the salt off of the outside. Next up, I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of baking soda into a bowl that has water in it with my casings, and that will help them to just kind of be slippery and easier to work with when it comes time for casing. It helps to keep them from knotting up. Now, here I have 3 packs of pork shoulder that I cut up several weeks ago and measured out, so I knew I had 10 pounds in the 3 bags, and they're ready to go. They've been thawing, but they're still partially frozen, and it's time to grind, which is my favorite part of this whole process. I don't know why. I guess I just love these toys, and you can see that my auger and feeder is very, very cold. You can see the frost on it. My meat is partially frozen. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to speed this up real quick. It took about 3 or 4 minutes to grind up this 10 pounds of pork shoulder. And I ground it on the smallest grind plate that I have. And it was perfect because everything was so cold. It did not smear. It came out just exactly the texture that I wanted it. For this kielbasa and how we prefer it. Some people will grind it in the larger grind and then maybe grind some of it in the smaller grind. They like the chewier, chunkier texture in the kielbasa, but we just kind of prefer ours just a little bit smoother than chunkier. And once it's all ground up, here we have it, folks. Beautiful, fatty, pebbly ground pork shoulder ready for the seasonings to get us the next step into our kielbasa sausage. And the seasonings I showed you at the beginning of the video is what I've got all mixed up here. And I'm going to be a little bit gentle with it when I first start mixing it, because I don't want clumps of seasonings in one spot across this 10 pounds of meat. So, and it's nice and cold, so it's not smearing. So I'm just kind of giving it a good gentle mix to get it started. And then I'm going to get a little more aggressive with it so that we can get it incorporated and actually start that process where the ground beef or the ground pork is going to start getting sticky, which is what we want. And once all the seasonings are all nicely incorporated, then I'm going to add about 2/3 of a cup of water is what I ended up total with, just to get the consistency that I like. And then I just keep with the mixy until it gets to the consistency that allows me to pick it up and it sticks to the bottom of my open hand. And now comes the part that is my least favorite part of making sausages, because I always just seem to have a challenge. And it's not the equipment, it's me. But here I've got those sausages that we soaked, and I'm having a little trouble getting the end open and finding the hole so that I can get it over the tube. And if I was 14, I would have a crusty old uncle look at me, Riley, and say, put some hair around it. But you know what? I don't think that saying actually works anymore. Anyway, once we've got the casing finally fully on there, then it's time to start making the sausages. And my challenge, like any amateur sausage maker, is always trying to not overstuff it and make it so tight that it wants to burst the casing. These are really good casings, so I really had very little problem. I think I had one blowout. And I like to make my kielbasa in rings. And all of you veteran sausage makers, I know, I'm not doing it right. But, I do what works for me, and with just two hands helping right now. So I tied mine off to make it simpler. And yes, they're ugly and awkward looking when they're finally done. But you know what? Once they're all done and smoked and ready to package up and all those little strings come off, they look just delightful. Now, once I've got everything all cased up, then it's time to use my high-tech drying rack. That's a broom that I've sanitized and hung up with a fan blowing on them to dry those casings out before they go into the fridge for an overnight rest. So using the smoking instructions that I got from two guys in a cooler, into the smoker they went, and what a difference between the color when they went in and the color when they came out of this smoker. And I may have smoked them a little bit quickly. My smoker doesn't go down to the lower temperatures that the instructions required, but what a color difference. They look beautiful, and once they were done, it took about 3 hours. Could have been 3.5. I had the probes in there, and once they hit 145 degrees internal, I took them out, and into an ice bath they went. This ice bath has really got several key elements to the process. One is it stops the cooking process so that they don't continue to carry over and rise in temperature. It also helps to tighten the casings up around that cooked meat, so you get a nice, snappy, tight kielbasa casing. It really only takes about 15 minutes or so, and these are all cooled down, and now it's time to get them out of the ice bath and start drying them off and wiping them down, getting any grill marks or smoke marks off of the outside of the casing. As one of my favorite YouTubers, Chud's Barbecue, likes to say, everybody likes a clean ween. Gotta say, probably no greater truth has ever been spoken in the sausage world. Now I let these sausages rest overnight. So these are cold at this point because I'm getting ready to package them up. So I don't have that awesome money shot where I cut this in half and put it up to the camera and give it a little squeeze and you get to see the juices come out. But kielbasa is good warm, it's good cold. This had a great tight casing on it. I had a few spots on some of these where I had some air pockets and the fat started to render down and fill in those gaps. But, that's the way it is. And that's not a very clear shot, but it did have some great marbling with the fat in here. The fat to meat ratio, in my opinion, was just perfect. I wish that was a clearer shot. I'm still learning this new camera and its limitations. But as the old saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So let's give it a taste and see how it is. Yeah, what's not to love? Like sliced up with eggs, just on its own, maybe a little bit of mustard. Uh, this is such a versatile sausage. When growing up, we used to eat this with cooked cabbage, which at the time I hated, but now love cooked cabbage, and this kielbasa really goes great with that. I remember we used to have it with scalloped potatoes, um, sometimes just fried potatoes. Certainly goes good with any kind of breakfast, hash browns, or if you do that kind of stuff. Me, I like it just cut up, fried, and then stirred up with some scrambled eggs. It's great with fried eggs with runny yolks as well. Terrific sausage. And now it's time to get it packaged up and put in the freezer so it's there and ready for whenever I need it. It does thaw out real quick as well if you need it, sooner than having a day or two to thaw it out. And just like that, in about 10, 12 minutes, got about 9 pounds of kielbasa here, another pound over there, and all set for a little bit of time to enjoy these. But right now, time to get these in the freezer. Well, there you have it, folks. A pretty simple recipe if you have the equipment to do it. Kielbasa is, again, it's such a versatile, delicious sausage. It goes with so many things. And of course, the way I make my own, just sugar-free. So there's some spices in there. There's some delicious pork. You can, I think, make this with beef, but I think then it's called more like of a beef sausage rather than a kielbasa, a traditional kielbasa. But it's real simple. It's a great starter sausage if it's something you're just getting into sausage making. And I hope you give it a try and let me know how you enjoy it. See you next time.